Just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a very special episode of Bloke in a Bar. The reason I say special is because the horoscope originally, now just the scope.
Skip a scope.
Skip a scope. Or even skip. So we've gone the horoscope.
Yep.
The scope.
Yeah.
Skip a scope. Or the skip.
Or the skip. Yeah, now I think most people just call me Skip now.
Skip.
So
Mate.
you just keep shortening it up. It just keeps changing. I don't know who I am at the moment. So
you set the people on it.
yeah,
It's the
I
people's
talk about
nickname.
myself in fourth person as my nickname now. So
Just keep that. I say special because I just, as I said to you off air, mate, the journey you've been on the last year or whatever. I know you're still, you're still getting after it at work, but you're slowly stepping into the content game, and the reaction has been incredible. The people that love what you do are super engaged, and it's just so good to see another player basically doing what I'm doing, and just getting after it. What's the last 12 months? If you could say to yourself, like, you start the podcast. I sit you down and says, look, maybe you should start a podcast.
yeah,
In 12 months' time, if you could say, like, you'd have this, like, really loyal base that you sell shirts to, would sell X amount that would be so good, like, go so good, would you be like, nah, no chance?
well, I was. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So when we first started doing it, I'd come back from the UK. I'd been back for about 3 or 4 weeks. I'd known the boys for a minute, but why the brand was growing while I was overseas, I hadn't seen them. That they got that new office. So I hit up Ice. I said, can I come in, just have a look at the office, see how you boys been going? He goes, well, let's do a potty. After we finished the potty, he goes, fuck, do you want to... I've got this little thing that I'm going to start with this, YKTR Media or Sports. Ended up becoming sports. He goes, would you be keen to come and just like, out of all the boys that I know, you like love your sports the most. So it's like not only just rugby league, NBA, NFL, and all these sorts of things. And I was like, man, I was like, nah, no one's going to be keen for me to host. I was happy to be a guest on his and tell my story, but I didn't think I had anything outside of that. And I was just like, and he goes, you'd be surprised. And he goes, honestly, like, worst case scenario, if it doesn't happen, like, you haven't put any money into it. Like, if it doesn't work, we'll just tell you, like, that we will do 5 episodes, and if it sucks, then we'll stop doing it. So, like, I went into it with no zero expectations.
Yep.
And obviously, it helped having really good mates of mine that come on and help me at the start. Like Mace was obviously massive to get Willie Mason as my first episode, and then Daly Chair Evans and Jimmy Bura for the second episode. And then from that point on, I sort of felt like once it got to about 10 episodes, it becomes its own little beast. Yeah. And then once it gets to the point where, not only like, at the start, it sort of feels like you're trying to like beg people to come on, and then once it gets to the point where they're like, I'll go, oh, bro, like maybe we do a podcast. And you go, I'd love to. You know what I mean? You can tell the difference between
absolutely
asking them to come in and like wanting them badly to come into the boys to be like, oh yeah, that'd be grouse to come on yours. So,
absolutely.
Mate, the progression has been unreal. I've enjoyed every moment.
Yeah.
Coming on with you early and. In the early days, I think I was maybe only 10 episodes in. I think when I come on,
I just seen it, and I was like, "This is good. This is quality." Like, there's a lot of people that start podcasts and whatever, and like, fair play to them. But it's like footy. Some are good, some aren't good. But the dedicated, engaged base you've built is just so good. Like, I'm not trying to be condescending at all, but I feel like I'm watching someone in their rookie year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how you see the young rookies in preseason?
Yeah.
And they're all a bit wigging, but you get that same smell, the feeling being back where you. Again, I'm not sitting here saying I'm some fucking veteran or whatever.
No, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, I just love seeing that, like, you're going to be where I am in fucking 2-3 years, easy. And that's coming not from a condescending wanker, like, oh, I'm fucking killing it or whatever. Not at all, but I just love to watch it. And the last, and the crazy thing is you haven't even fully dove into it yet.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. Like, even it was the same as my footy career. Once I got about 20 games in, I thought I was killing it. I was the man, and like, getting to that point. And it's a little bit like that. Like, I feel like now I'm at that 20 to 50 games period where I'm starting to feel comfortable, feel like I'm a first grade, feel like I'm a podcaster now. Yeah. And now it's like, fuck, I want to get 100 games. Like, I want to get 150 games. Like, I want to play Origin. I want to play for my country. Like, you know what I mean? It's that sort of vibe now.
Absolutely.
I want to be, I want to do it look, it got to, I think about 6 months ago, I got to the point, I think just after the season, we'd finished doing maybe the Origin companion. And I went, fuck, guys, like, I'm loving this, man. Like, we've got something here. Like, I feel like not only of like what I was doing, but I was proud of where I'd got YKTR Sports too.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
YKTR were already their own brand. They had their own following. But I felt like not only did I still keep their fan base engaged, I feel like I was bringing in new fans. And by the end of the year to have that feeling about it and like a sense of accomplishment at the end of the year. But still, like, I muck around about, getting ahead of myself, but I'm still so humbled by it.
Yeah.
It still takes me, like sometimes I have a think about it and go like I wasn't a big name player and stuff like that. And to have a following now that I do, when sometimes I hang around some of the other boys and people recognise me and want to have a photo or I just chew the fat for a couple of minutes and, ask about the punters club or whatnot. It's pretty cool, man.
How, two things. I totally agree in the sense of, and again, like, no one's more of a fan of YKTR than me. Like, I think what they've done is incredible. But you just got to ask yourself, like, where would YKTR Sports be if you didn't exist in that area? Again, it's not sitting here saying that it wouldn't kill it, but you've been a huge part in why people like YKTR Sports.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what I meant by that. Yeah. So, like, what I prided myself on being able to not only keep their audience that they've established over the last 3 or 4 years, but sort of bring some new people into it and help it grow and help it to get to the success we're at right now and then what potentially we could be. Yeah,
absolutely. It's, as you grow is when people call out your sayings to you. Or real niche ones.
Yeah.
Like, for example, people will yell out, like, obviously the Goosey's fucking all the time. We nearly crashed yesterday calling out Goosey, bro. He's driving past and he was staring. And he was like, Goosey! Yeah. And then he fucking hit the front of his car, hit the speed bump. Yeah. He got the wobbles.
And it was that guy. It was him.
It was that guy. It was the original Goosey. But yeah, it's when they call out real obscure parts of a podcast, it's like 2 hours deep into a podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
When was it? Do you remember the first time where you were really like, he's calling out like, let's get it or fucking whatever?
Yeah, I think it was my first trip to Byron with the boys. When I went up to Byron at the end of the season, I got a few like, shit, baby, what's up, Scope? Like as I was on holiday with the boys, and that was like times. I think actually, one time in particular was the first time we went up there was me, Moiser, and Normie were running, and we're doing the run to the lighthouse up in Byron and back, just getting after it, baby,
as
like
it is,
I do. People would grown to know that I like to do that stuff, is party hard, but also get off, work hard as well.
Yeah.
And I was running, but like Moiser was in front of me, I was in the middle, and Normie was behind me. And this guy's like, "Shit, baby, getting after it, Skip!" Like as we're running past, and just didn't say anything to Moiser and Normie.
Wow!
and I'll get, so I get like, I've got a big fucking cheesy grin on my face as we're getting there, but I'm still tired from the run.
Yeah.
Kept it in the memory bank, and then once we got back, I go, "Hey boys, we're getting the shit."
And you know that they were thinking about it as well. They were going,
and Normie knew straight away it was coming because he knows what I'm like. Moiser thought it was funny as. But yeah, I think that was probably the first proper moment.
Yep.
And it's funny how like even when there hasn't been any games on, probably like the content and like the brand has got even almost bigger.
Absolutely.
In the off season,
mate,
too.
It's been fantastic. Like I said to Ice, I think before the race with Simi, I was like, bro, I can see it. I can see it building what you're trying to build.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing. He's like, yeah, I can feel it too, bro. Like there's just some like things are falling into place for us. You've got like such a good dynamic with Simi. Like that is just like money in the bank. That pretty much. It's to be honest, the only hurdle I see for you guys is having the amount of talent that you do, and then the generating enough income so that you can all do it full time. It'll come, absolutely come. But like you even look at like Bloke In A Bar, like it's not like, I mean, we would now, but 2 years ago we didn't have sponsors lining up to sponsor the podcast. It was hard for me to even pay myself. And so, but you'll get past that. The good thing is you've got the YKTR like revenue being generated by the shirts and stuff like that can definitely help. But when it comes to like talent, I think you and Simi, bro. Whenever I see you guys, all I think of is 10 years down the line, 1 hour long documentary of your relationship. How, like, cunts will be crying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, your growth. Like,
fuck, mate, it's gone up and down. We've only known each other for what? Not even that. When did he move in? I'd nearly gone on a year, just 9 months.
Yeah.
And we've fucking, like, it's so up and down. It's so weird. Like, as soon as I met him, we had this weird connection. He reminds me so much of my cousin.
Yeah.
And he, like, back home growing up in, with Kiwis, and he's like
So
Samoan.
so just for people listening, Jordan Simi is he's not an ex-footy player.
Yeah.
I mean, ex-local.
Yeah, yeah.
But he is part of YKTR. So if you're unsure who Simi is, he's a close friend of the YKTR boys, and he's created a bit of a personality for himself.
Yeah.
Being a guest on the podcast, he's an artist as well. Self-proclaimed ladies' man, he reckons.
Yeah.
But he is good looking. He's big, good looking. But just so for people listening, he's a close friend and he's a part of the YKTR crew. So if you're like who we're talking about, that's who we're talking about.
Yeah. And so with regards to Simi and what you're talking about, like everyone being able to eat, this is like one of the goals I said to Ice when we sat down at the start of the year before I told him I wanted to be more consistent with my content. I said, like, that's my goal. I want, if I'm doing a good enough job and Simi and all of us doing a good enough job, where YKTR gets to a point, I want YKTR Sports to be paying me full time to be working with them. That's my goal by the end of the year.
Yep.
For the not only myself and the group,
happen,
and it's
bro.
going to be for Simi and all that sort of stuff. Because at the moment, very grateful to be we've got sponsorship coming on board. The boys have ticked me up for merch that they've sold on my behalf.
Yep.
Which is good, but I still got to work on the side.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing the right things throughout the year and we keep growing this beast and it's working for me, then it's working for Ice.
Yep.
And the best thing about Ice too, in particular in the last, probably once he's seen the growth in me and he's, back into the year, he was like at the start, he was like, this is fucking YKTR, this is my baby, don't fuck it up.
Yep.
I'd go to him with everything like, oh, I want to do this, and he'd go yes and no. It's now got to the point where Ice trusts me.
Yeah,
he goes, I go, oh, I'm getting this guy and I'm going to do this. He goes, yep.
Well,
I say, I'm going to, Kempy, you're coming in on Friday, 12 o'clock. Yep. We'll make it work.
Okay.
Like it's got to that point now, which is I've built the trust within the boys, in particular Ice. And then I'm obviously able to, I feel like I'm confident in that as well. That like, I'm at that point now where I just go, hey bro, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And he just goes, yeah. Oh, me and Simi want to do our next challenge Frisbee. We're going to do that. Get the cameras. Can you get the vlogs and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
And Ice is like, yeah, we'll make it work. So
yeah, no, you've earned it. Like it's that building that relationship and also like getting the runs on the board. Showing that you can deliver and you have to. No, I think in 12 months' time you'll absolutely. And the crazy thing is, it's like a self-perpetuating cycle in the sense that when you all go full time. It'll just get bigger. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll actually, if you could do this full time, the amount of content that you'll be able to release would just be fucking on another level.
Yeah.
Like, just constant content. Like, you already release heaps now and you're working. Imagine if you've got an extra 3 days and mind space to come up with ideas, spend that whole day on that bit of content that you think may or may not hit, There's so many times where I've created something and I'm like, oh, this won't go that big. And then it just goes massive. And there's so many times I create something and it's like, I think this is going to be fucking mad. And then it doesn't.
Yeah.
But the good thing about full-time is you get the time to make those mistakes.
Well, that's it. Well, because I've had podcasts where I could have done in the last 3 or 4 weeks, but I can only really do Thursday and Friday. So I've been hampered by that a little bit. Whereas, like you said, if I'm able to accommodate the boys on a Wednesday or come and do this Monday, like it's worked out nicely for me because the job's allowed it. But my work schedule changes every week as well. So being able to balance it at the moment, like I said, I'm working really hard at that too. Like I'm, making sure I get my work in and then everything's sort of falling in place. I'm planning things out a lot better than I was last year because I
you're better planner than me. He bloody messaged me, 2 weeks ago about doing a podcast?
Yeah.
Bruh, that's more than me. I was like, this guy's getting after it more than me.
Yeah, that's it. So that's
I love it.
Hear that, Ice? See? Like I've got to be, that's how I have to be with how I am right now. And that's how I figured out. Like last year was willy-nilly and I'd message people at the start of the week and then work would come up or something would happen with them at training. Yeah. And I wasn't able to pull it off and then people would be like, oh, we're waiting for a new podcast. It's been 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I've
got to work in that.
I've got to work, and I'm doing this. And all, so
it's crazy how much. What surprises me is how much they enjoy your content. Like when like our content or whatever. When I release content, I'm like, oh, I'll only release one podcast every 2 weeks. Because like as if they're going to want to hear my voice more than once a week or once every 2 weeks. Yeah. And then people will be like, bro, like where's the fucking next podcast? And now I'm up to 2 podcasts a week. Yeah. And people are still like, bro, let's get another I'm like, bro, I can't believe you actually enjoy listening to me like some fuckhead on the mic just talking shit. Nah, bro, it's incredible. I love seeing it. And I just think that, on a grander scale, like with myself, you guys at YKTR, it's a changing tide, that's for sure. And it's in 10 years' time, it's going to be very interesting to see the landscape of sports content in Australia, because it's hard to beat a team of people that don't need a lot of money to run.
Well, that's the best thing about it, bro. Like, how like supportive you've been of us from day one. You've had a connection with Ice as well. We support each other.
Yep.
I want to see the 257 boys do well. I want to see Chad Townsend do well.
Absolutely.
Because with the form of content that we do, we can all kill it. Like, we can all win.
Absolutely.
It's not like you got TV shows fighting against each other for ratings. We've got so much time in the day. People are in their cars all the time.
Right.
If we can put out a couple of hours of content each, and we get sponsorship, and we can all eat off the back of it. Like Mace is doing it. Finchy was working with us. I fucking hope Finchy kills it. Like I want him to kill it as well. I want Mace to kill it. Like I want all the boys that sort of come through and helping us out, and we can all help each other out, and just keep providing content, man. Because there's fucking never enough.
Mate, there's literally never enough.
Even I listen to so many podcasts as well. Yeah. And even I run out of podcasts like at the end of the week. And
absolutely. And you're sitting there going, fuck, I wish fucking Joe Rogan would release another fucking 6-hour podcast.
Exactly,
or some
man.
shit.
So,
and the power, like if we are divided, that's how they beat us.
Yeah.
Well, not that it's a war or anything. But if we are divided, that's how you. Whereas, like, I always look at the Joe Rogan kind of setup.
Yeah.
Like I haven't listened to Joe Rogan honestly in about 3 years.
Yeah.
But the setup that he's got was so good. Like he was the big dog, and he got all his mates on the podcast. Brendan Shaw, Theo Von at the start. Is it Theo Von?
Theo Von, yeah.
Yep. Brian Callen, Tom Segura, all of those people. They didn't have podcasts before they came on Joe Rogan's thing. He got them on. He went on theirs. They went on his. Now they all have their own massive podcasts, and it's not competition. It's actually a ecosystem that helps each other. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The bigger you get, the bigger I can get. Because I can be like, oh, bro, can I come on? I need to do this or whatever. You're like, yeah, 100%. And then you might be like, oh, bro, I got this comment. Can I? It just gets bigger and bigger. Whereas, like, if you divide and do your own thing, the big dogs, that's how they win. Because like you're battling between each other. Whilst they're just like, yeah, sweet, let them battle it out. Like, let them hate each other. We're sweet up here.
Yeah.
Whereas, we use each other's platforms to grow. Before we know it, this platform with all the boys here and this platform here is as big as each other.
We're going to be side by side. Yeah.
Exactly. But what did you think of last year's footy? We haven't even spoken about footy, bro.
Oh, footy. Let's get into footy.
Let's get it, babe.
And we're going to talk more about footy on Friday. So looking forward to having you come in there.
Is that this Friday?
This Friday,
Sweet.
Yep. What in particular did you want to talk about with the footy season?
The last season.
The origin.
We'll speak about like the season, in general, pertaining to this season. Like I think we'll speak more in depth about it when we get on yours. But what teams do you feel went good last year that are in pole position coming into the new season?
I think the way that not initially that the Melbourne Storm ended up adapting to the new rules.
Yeah,
I think you even had Cam said he struggled when he come on. He said they struggled in the first couple of weeks and they didn't adapt to it too much.
Yep.
But obviously they won the comp. I think the top 4 teams are going to be pretty similar. I think everyone's looking pretty, except for maybe the Roosters. I think Boydie's going to be massive for them.
Yeah.
I think Boydie missing the start of the season, but eventually coming home stronger. Like they've got a couple of nice youngsters.
Well, what I love, and it's only been recently, I've been looking at a lot of their media. The intensity they are at right now is pretty fucking high. Yeah. Like with the answers they give to media, with the camps they've been doing. Like at first I was like, yeah, Roosters might be a bit fatigued, a bit tired. Corden is a huge loss.
Yeah.
But then I look at it, I'm like, well, you've still got Angus Crichton, Victor Radley. Stilatili is Satilli.
Yeah.
How do you say his last name? I always get it wrong, bro.
Yeah,
I'm fucking so
here.
bad. Apparently
I'm Kiwi. I should be better.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, bro, that's fucking come on, bro. But apparently, so I was speaking to a lot of the Roosters boys, and they're like, bro, he's killing it.
Yeah.
Like he is training the fucking house down. Yeah. Victor Radley, they reckon's a fucking beast. Like even better this year.
Yeah, seen him jacked up on your
Bruh, how big's he looking? Wow.
Was he on the sausage sizzle
he's
as
on
well?
the sausage sizzle, pure.
Ripping into a couple of snags
mate,
too?
Pure testosterone.
Love that.
Imagine the women just frothing on that.
Yeah,
mate, I want you to cook me a barbie, baby.
Yeah, Victor, bro.
But I think what I do believe, I think Storm will be in the top 4, but a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, they got Harry Grant. Like, it's all good. Bruh, you lose Cam Smith, it's going to hurt. Just like Roosters lost Cooper Cronk, and they lost Latrell, and I said at the fucking start of the year, no one wanted to hear nothing. They're like, nah, the Roosters back is gone, and they've got Luke Keary still. I said, bro, Latrell Mitchell is the best big game player there is. Anytime there's a big moment, he got them out of trouble, Roosters, in 2019.
Yeah.
Cooper Cronk you lose Cooper Cronk, it doesn't matter who you replace him with, it's going to be felt.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, I said, like, when the Roosters have big games and they need to turn to someone to get the win, who do they turn to? It's going to take them time to find that. Kiri used to go, you know what, we need a big play. Trell, boom, hit ya.
And with the new rules, it would have suited him even more. So
100%.
like the centres these days. We talked about it on the companion. Remember, we were talking about how
centres have been out of it. Yeah.
Centres, and now obviously with Joey Manu not normally being like 1A.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He was like a nice, probably top 3 or 4 centres in the game, but had Latrell on the other side. And you imagine if they're doing video, they're looking so much at Latrell throughout the week, and then fucking Joey would tear him up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So now everyone's going, fucking Joey
man.
Manu. Joey Manu's the man. So then he got a little bit more extra attention, which he's now aware of, obviously.
Yep.
And fucking played nice in that Indigenous game.
Yep. He's a big boy. He's a big boy.
He's fucking... He come on the YKTR. This is the first time I met him. He come on the YKTR boat
big
party.
Boy.
He's fucking huge.
I know.
Man.
That's why I keep telling... Bro, he's like 6'3", 100 kilos, footwork unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of if he wants to kill it, he'll kill it. You know, he's incredible. But with the Storm issue is I still see them as a top 4 side. Harry Grant, incredible. But losing Cameron Smith, it's gonna like put it this way: if Bellamy somehow still they're just as good, like he's the GOAT. Like if you can lose the greatest player ever on paper and still come out and make the grand final, like you're the undisputed GOAT.
Yeah, like every time I watch Harry, man, he gets me excited.
Oh, fucking oath. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not going to play good.
I know what you say. I know exactly what you're saying.
Just that direction.
You're talking about the best player that's ever played our game.
Exactly.
Like, we're on the green stat. For me, he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's even close anymore. Like,
yeah.
by what he did last year, I always thought he was in the GOAT anyway, even before last year. But he just cemented it even more. So it's like Tom Brady in the NFL this year. Like they just keep doing it and doing it.
Absolutely.
Where you get to the point. And I understand, but man, I love Harry and Cheese, man.
Mate, the impact they're gonna have.
If they're, it's like, and we probably, everyone said it. The Storm have had the 3 of the best top 5 hookers in the comp.
Yeah, it's so true. That's crazy. That's far out. That's so crazy. And they got the fucking Mad Dog in there.
The other one you touched on though, just quickly, the Rabbitohs Latrell. I think Latrell, Dry Arrow. I think Rabbitohs are in for a big year.
Well, speaking of someone else in that camp, I won't say who, but they reckon Wayne Bennett has changed his whole tune in the sense of like Wayne's like, this is our fucking year, let's go. Whereas Wayne's usually pretty cruisy, like systems, let's get through this, let's get through that. They reckon that he is fucking ready to go this year, and this is someone that definitely knows whether Wayne is or not fucking. Put it this way, Wayne's getting after it this year.
Yeah,
so it's going to be one of those years for the Rabbitohs where the only negative for them is like, don't get ahead of yourself. You've got the roster. Don't listen to the hype. Don't listen to the fucking everyone sitting there going, "Use killing it, use this that." But Latrell looked fit on the weekend. To be honest, I even messaged this to Latrell. I was like, I actually felt he was a step ahead of his peers at stages.
Yeah.
A few offloads he threw should have been caught.
Yeah.
A few, you know what I mean? Like I feel like he's at that level now where he's going to have to bring people with him to the finals. So I think it's going to be a massive year for Chol. What was funny is like people were still questioning whether he's fullback or whatever. He had like 24 try assists or some shit last year, or like line break assists, something crazy like that. So it's
those people are always going to be the negative people that are always around. Anyone who watched footy last year and seen how he was progressing just before the injury, that's why people were excited who aren't South fans about South.
Yeah, you
can see that obviously the way that they perform, the way Cody Walker and Randiggity finished the back end of that season with the forward pack rolling like it was, to add Dry Arrow to that pack and get Latrell back on the end of it. That's like crazy. if you think about it, if you add those two come finals time, man, they're going to give that a fucking they're going to give that a red hot crack.
Absolutely, and to win a grand final, they
come so close to Penrith as it was.
They probably should have beaten Penrith. What lost them that game was kick pressure. Yeah. They didn't put enough kick pressure on Nathan Cleary. Melbourne Storm, and I spoke to Cam about this, I said, was kick pressure one of your main things? He's like, yep, absolutely. One of our main targets
I've seen that.
Was put pressure on Nathan Cleary because not only does he get him out of trouble, but everything's off the back of his kicking game. And I said to the Rabbitohs before the Rabbitohs-Panthers game, I said they need to kick pressure Cleary because he's so good at it. Like, Cleary's so fucking good at his kicking game. He's probably the best since Cooper Cronk in the sense of, like, Cooper Cronk was number one. Then, Randiggity's there as well, but I think Cleary last year was probably probably number one kicker in the comp.
Yeah. Rendiggity, I like him more closer to the line.
Yeah, short kicking games.
Inside the 20s, fucking pinpoint.
So good. Who do you think? Now, obviously, both our Smokies are Titans.
Yeah.
But I think you've gone deeper, Smokey. You've gone top 4.
I have gone top 4.
That's a big call.
I even put a little wager on for the Scopes Punters Club.
Did ya?
Yeah.
Okay. What was she paying?
She was paying $5.
Okay.
I put 500 on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Top 4. I mean, that's a pretty good bet. Like they're not going to get. I mean, they might still get Cam Smith, but bro, statistically, Brimo was the best fullback in the comp in the last nine games that he played after injury.
Yeah.
He's a freak, bro. See him in an Origin. I honestly believe that, let's say Kalen comes out and struggles in Origin or has let's say he struggles. I don't want him to. I think rugby league and sport in Australia is better when Kalen's killing it because he's a super, he's the biggest superstar the game's ever seen.
I think he understands that he's got a competition on his hands.
Exactly.
If that's what you're getting at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is it's 100% his spot, Kalen's spot. I'm not sitting here saying that Brimo's there yet. What I am saying is we're having this conversation.
And it's going to be fun to watch.
Exactly. I think Brimo has to be in that Queensland side, though.
Yeah.
14. He's got to be there. He was so good in that game. And I think it's only going to make Kalen a better player that Brimo's just kind of there or thereabouts. Sure. Because superstar, as I said, we've never had a superstar like Kalen.
Yeah.
Think about it. He's got the most followers on all social media. He's a good-looking guy, incredible player. Obviously, Sonny Bill. It's probably the last time we had a guy like this.
Right. I've seen his, obviously, being out with him and going and spending a little bit of time with him up for New Year's, seen his star power.
Yeah.
Being around, I've been around a few of the boys in my time as well. Obviously playing, Hainesy's obviously a fucking superstar.
Yep.
Seen him firsthand. Obviously the Manly boys, they weren't as popular because they were more reserved, but they were big name players. The following and the way that people react to just KP walking down the streets is
another level.
Even to even to Money, as good as the time that Money had, everyone's sort of he's the larrikin.
Yeah.
He's it's almost like he's the guy you want to have a beer down the pub with, and you feel like with KP, people
it's
you know
it's that star aura of people a bit rattled from it. Oh, I've got a controversial statement to make.
Yeah, go on.
I believe, and people probably going to, understand where I'm coming from here, or at least understand why I came up with this. But I believe that Cam Murray was robbed of number 1 hottest 100. Absolutely robbed, and I feel like KP star power got him across the line.
I reckon that definitely played
because Cam Murray is the hottest man in rugby league.
You've been Cam Murray for a minute too. So is there a little bit of bias towards?
Bro, hey, I was Cam Murray when he was just a young pup coming through.
Yeah.
I remember I actually had him on the podcast over he had 7 games.
Yeah.
Without sounding like a dick, but I'm pretty good eye for
you can see
talent.
Yeah.
I had Victor Radley on before he was blew up in that.
Yeah.
And I remember when Cam Murray walked, this is at my old place, I went downstairs, and at this stage, I thought, just a normal footy player, I know what he looks like. And I see him, walked up, slick back hair, baby blues, just beaming. Baby blues and I sunk into him. I sunk into him, and I forgot...
The baby blues.
The baby blues.
Yeah.
I literally was swimming in them before I'd even finished my first sentence, but I do remember him walking up, I was like, wow, he's a fucking good-looking bloke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Cam Murray was robbed, pretty much.
Yeah, well, can you help us out with the debate that me and Simi had the other night? So look, you're the beak, you're coach, you're coach beak, but we'd formally like to put in a petition.
Okay.
The
bonus C squad is getting announced in 2 weeks.
Yes, all right. So we'd like to. You've already noticed him. I know he's on your radar. You got Pretty Ricky.
Yeah, Pretty
Jordan
Ricky.
we put it to a vote. Woo! And Tino Fasua Mwali. Oh, big time. I'm a big fan of those two boys in particular. So, mate, if they could be somehow in consideration for selection, that's all I'm asking for.
So you're just petitioning for that?
That's all I'm petitioning for.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of those two guys, especially, I haven't seen a better pair of forwards since 04 Rennie and Sonny Bill. They're not only are they killing it, and how good did fucking Jordan Ricky go in that game?
100%.
You said it. You even caught it at half time, and then he got even better in the second half. But those two guys, man, and Tino, the way he finished the year last year. Jokes aside, we have a bit of fun with all this stuff, and we talk about the mean glamours, but the fact that they're actually guns too,
they're guns,
and I think they're only going to get better throughout the year.
But I don't want to hear about no glamours. It's not a gun.
Yeah,
whatever.
I ain't got no time.
Yeah, because heaps of good looking blokes out there.
Yeah.
Fucking who cares? Glamours, they've got to be guns.
Yeah, they've got to be guns. As well.
Cam Murray's his leg drive is out of this world. Quick play the ball.
He's tough too.
Tough as fuck.
How good is it when a glamour's tough?
Mate, yeah, 100%. He is if you saw a picture of him, you're like, he's the softest rugby league player I've ever met. The way, actually, put it this way, if he was an ugly country boy, he'd be known, oh, he's fucking
Yeah.
so tough, what a fucking mongrel. But because he's so pretty, people just like, they don't actually appreciate it. He gets to like 45 tackles a game, quickest play the ball in history, incredible baby blue eyes. Did I mention that?
Baby Blues, yeah.
Yeah, baby blues. No, look, the petition has been taken on board.
Yeah,
They-
beautiful.
Look, they
That's
have
all I
been,
want. I just want to get their names at the board. That's all
Mate.
I'm asking for. And you're Coach Beak. I know
our
that.
selectors have had them on our radar for quite a while. They may or may not have been a part of our Smoky squad.
Okay. Yep.
I can't say any more because the team is getting
don't
announced.
give it away.
I'm
Don't
not
give it
giving it away. But your petition has been taken on board.
Beautiful.
But what was the argument? Was you thought Ricky was better? And
No, I'm on Tino.
Yeah, they're on
I'm
Tino.
Team Tino. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
well, what about
It
Tino?
was a 51-49 split too. So that shows how fucking close it was between the two.
Okay.
Jordan Ricky won it.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no disgrace in a 49 split. I don't think for Tino.
It's a tough one because they've both got great smiles.
Yeah.
That beautiful caramel skin.
Yeah.
It is a tough one.
They've always got fresh fades. Like the way Tino's even bringing back that 04 Rennie little half mullet
I can see
mohawk
that.
sort of thing that's going on.
Look, I feel like they're both on the path to greatness.
They are, yeah.
And it's whoever takes
On
the
and off the
opportunity. Whoever takes the opportunity is the person that's going to go forward. We really are announcing the Bloke FC side in 2 weeks. So we're going to announce the Bloke FC side when everyone else announces their round one team side.
That's perfect. That's so good.
But yes, okay. So what did you think of Origin last year? Did you obviously we spoke about. I said, bro, this is his Joey moment.
Yeah.
This could be his Joey moment about Munster. But you're a New South Welshman, obviously, Westie.
Yeah, so I was always because I'm Kiwi. We spoke about this first time we come on. I've enjoyed the spectacle of Origin, but I haven't I sort of just went for New South Wales throughout the years. When I was younger, I sort of followed him because when I was younger, Freddie Fittler was my favourite player because I played at Cambridge Park. Like Western, he played at my club team.
Okay,
so I was like I had an allegiance towards New South Wales there, but I never really felt that same thing towards New South Wales. Felt like over the last couple of years, I'm obviously really close with Ches, fucking skipper.
Yep.
I'm skipper Scope. He's skipper from fucking Queensland.
Yep.
Fucking me and Money have really kicked it off in the last 18 months in our
Absolutely.
little group chat. KP's he's a vibe.
He's a goat.
And I live with Normie and Chico.
It's very hard to.
I'm like, man, I'm Queensland.
Mate, look.
Yeah.
You can come aboard if you would like. If you want to come to the real state.
Yeah.
We got the Mad Dog, bro.
That's
we got
it.
the Mad Dog.
And first and foremost, I'm Kiwi.
Yeah.
And I'll take Kiwis over any Australian team. So just like to put that out there. And that's why I think I'm able to float back and forth. And Kiwis do cop a lot of shit. Like Kiwis could be living in New South Wales, never been to Queensland in their life and go to Queensland. And all the New South Welshmen are like, why are you doing that? Fuck, I'm Kiwi, bro. Who cares?
I don't get it.
It's not like I've got an allegiance to you guys. I moved here when I was 14.
Absolutely. So take us back for yourself. Obviously your career. We spoke about it last time on the podcast, but I think like as you get older, as big events happen in your life, and I feel like this last year has been a big event in your life, and you kind of like look back on your own history quite differently, and you have insights into your own history that you may not have had before because you've got more information, you've experienced things from both sides. You said you were always a locker room guy, but did you ever feel this much of a locker room guy in the sense that you could actually make something of it? No,
not at all. Because I always prided myself on having inside jokes. This is why I was a little bit skeptical that any of my stuff was going to work. I'd often try to make jokes where I knew I'd get crickets amongst the group, but one guy was laughing.
Yeah,
that was my sense of humor.
It's kind of like trolling in a way. Like you're trolling them because you know they're not going to laugh.
Yeah,
but you know that one guy's going to laugh. That makes it funnier. That
and everyone thinks I'm a lemon, but really I'm getting everyone else.
Yeah, you know that. Yeah,
and that was sort of my sense of humor. So to see it kick off. And grow to where it is, where people understand it and almost like expect it now. I'll do me little videos and I'll take the piss, and people sort of like they're guessing and going, is he serious? Has he been partying and bending as much as he is or whatever?
Yeah.
But with regards to stuff that I've learnt now and stuff that I'm learning from the younger players, and I wish that I'd done was just self promotion, being more confident. We come through in an era where if you stepped out of line and did said some of the things, then it was frowned upon. Or like, mate, I did a thing with Fozzie for Fox Sports once. And it was fucking now it's to no fault of anyone at Fox Sports. It was with Lara Pitt. She's she's one of the best. Like,
she's a gun.
She's a gun, man. We all love talking to her,
Yeah.
but we sort of try to play up this Hozzy and Fozzy thing, and it was so cringe. And now, like, whenever it comes, I can't watch it. People send it to me, and I'm like, I can't watch that. That's fucking so bad.
That's Gaia.
But it scarred me, man. And I didn't want to do anything. So, like, this is only in, like, the end of 13. I had a really good year in 13, playing outside of Fozzy. And then somehow they overheard this Hozzy and Fozzy thing, just through our nicknames or whatever. And then we did a segment on it, and it was so bad. And like, I got, like, roasted. Like, the old boys, it was fucked.
And the old boys they were old school boys.
Yeah. So in my head, I was so embarrassed about it, and I was like, I'm never doing anything like that again.
Hozzy. I look at some of my own content that I chose to do, and I cringe. So I feel like you're always going to look back and cringe. But was this extra cringe?
Yeah, this is extra cringe. Don't get it up, please. Don't get it up and watch it. And I don't want to see it.
All right. Well, you got to at least run us through what Hozzy Fozzy was.
No, it was just basically talking about our relationship, and then, like, playing up, and then, like, I'd never done anything like that before, so I'm trying to act up a little bit more. I think with my stuff now, the reason I don't cringe at it now is because I'm exactly who I am.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I was trying to be someone. Oh, it was fucking so bad, man.
Mate,
me and Fozzy have talked about it before as well. Like,
bring it back, bros. Bring the Hozzy and Fozzy back. People.
I know for a fact.
Go to his comment section, please, and bring back Hozzy and Fozzy. Bring it back, bro. It could be something.
Yeah, nah. Like, he's he come on and did a podcast with us, and we can treat the fat a little bit differently. And we're a little bit older now, and we've learned from our, in particular, I've learned from our mistakes. Fozzy's always been pretty good on things, but if we could go back in time.
Yep, okay.
And there's one thing we could change was
the Hozzy and Fozzy.
Yeah,
content though. Now it's content, which is good.
Now it's content. It's giggle. Like, a lot of the stuff that, even like I sung on the footy show once, and those player profiles. And that's pretty cringe as well. But, like, that's just a part of it. And now, like, when they come up, it's funny because I've almost built this character with the boys where the boys. I'm happy for them to poke at me all the time. Like, they put up fucking funny photo. Like, I rolled my ankle the other day. It's content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I actually don't mind being the punching bag for the group, but I'm also like, if you're going to give it to me, I'll give it back.
Yeah, you got to be able to call it back. Yeah, 100%.
And as long as like, if someone tries to rip me and I try to, like, in particular in the punters club, I'll rip into people. I'll remove people from the group and, like, spray them and call them lemons and that. So I'm happy to cop lemons for myself. Like, I'll put up a tip, and if it comes back that way, but you got to be like, I'm going to rip you if I get the chance. If you slip up, like.
What's your footy career? So, like, you did a bit of that content, so there was some interest in it. But what about playing wise? What do you think your best year was, and the most memorable season? Was it the 2009 run with Hayne, or was it?
I missed it because I debuted in 10. So we didn't play any finals. It would have been 13 for sure.
Because you made the finals 13.
Yeah, we made grand final against the Roosters in 13.
Yep, and then Sonny. Yep, okay, and they won that game.
So they beat us.
So run us through that year, because didn't you like? You made your debut, you thought you were killing it, and then you kind of fell off the wagon a bit, and then you found your form again at Manly. Was it that year?
Yeah. So after 2012, that was the year that was Ricky Stewart's first year. And I was, to be fair, now looking back, and I know you had Benny Robertson talking to Benny Robertson.
So you were a part of that squad?
I was the year before.
Okay.
And I was the one that didn't get the whiteboard. Okay. I got told straight up that I wasn't going to be a part of his plans, but my manager told me, so I didn't have that shame. And he got there about 6 months in, and then fucking put it up on the whiteboard, and that story's become legendary now. So I'm, in a way, grateful grateful that I got the call and wasn't.
You should do a grateful one day. I'm grateful Ricky Stewarт didn't put your name on the board and just got rid of me before. Yeah,
so I got risk. I was number one before the board was introduced.
You didn't even make the board, bro.
I didn't make the board, bro, but I'm grateful for that. So I didn't have a club, but one guy that took a lot of interest in him and was really big for me was Brad Arthur at Parramatta. So he was the assistant coach for 11 and 12. He was interim for the last 6 weeks. So basically he knew that going into 12, I had a bit of a rough time personally off the field. And then I had a really delayed pre-season, off-season in that sense. And then I got injured as well. So throwing the fact that I got dropped, injured, and had this off-season, he sort of knew my head wasn't in it. And I remember he coming up halfway throughout the season and he goes, let's start looking at some of your video and Reggie's. This is why I think a lot of people speak so highly of BA, when I always try to stick up for him if I can as well. that he goes, let's do some video together and get yourself, I'm not, when he took over as interim coach, he then come to me and goes, I'm not going to guarantee you anything.
Yeah.
But if you do the right things, keep ripping in, stop sulking like you have been in reserve grade.
Yeah.
You're a chance. I'm going to give you the opportunity to fight your way back into the team. So I ended up getting that, played the last 6 games of 2012. He then went to Manly and then put in the good word for me at 2, said, this guy's same thing. I went there for fucking under the minimum.
So like the top 40 kind of thing.
Under the top 40 wages with just some matches. And then I ended up playing all but one game and playing in the grand final in 13. And I was very, very blessed and lucky to start the season because what happened was Glenn Stewart had injured his knee, his meniscus at the back end of 12. So he missed the entire preseason. So when Tony Williams had left at the end of the 12 as well, it's pretty much supposed to be Jimmy Bureau's left edge spot. Jimmy Bureau was coming through. He played Origin maybe the year or two before. But because he had a connection with Daly, he all throughout preseason he went to the right because Glenn Stewart was out, and then I'd done all my work on the left edge with Foz. And then by the time Glenn Stewart got back for round 1, which he did, and Jimmy was so versatile and was such a good bench player, I ended up keeping that spot, playing all the way through that 13 year. Just missed the one game with a little hammy strain that I could have played with.
Yeah,
but twos at the time just said just rested and. It was about 4 or 5 weeks. I think it might have been 4 or 5 weeks out from the finals. So they said, just make sure there's no dramas going to that and making the grand final and all that sort of stuff. That was it. That was easily
through that. Going into the grand final, you're a guy that, 12 months ago, could have been playing bush footy pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about going and just playing overseas, like going to look at Super League, and if not Super League, maybe like local French rugby or something, just to travel. Like I was lucky enough to end up doing that at the back end of it. But
And so you're going into the finals, and what was the feeling like? So you've got your team is what DCE, Foz.
Yep.
Hodkinson had moved the year before.
Yeah, Hocko had gone. No, DCE was in his second because they won in 11. Remember, so DC had been around for a minute. He'd been around for a couple of years. He was established, but like my back row partner was Glenn Stewart and Anthony Watmo. You know what I mean?
Oh wow!
So like playing in that team, Jamie Lyon and Steve Maddell were the centres. Brett Stewart was at the back. Wolfie and George Defoe were on the wings. Like the best thing about that team is when I'd come in, I just knew that I just had to do my job to my best of my ability. Whereas like even at Parramatta, even though I wasn't an established player, would be in games and I'm like, fuck, I need to do something here.
Yeah, because
and I'd overplay my hand and fuck it up because I wasn't that sort of player. Like once you get a little bit older, you realise I started to realise I had limited capabilities. But if I do something, I knew there was things that I did really well. And then once I realised that and I sort of was doing that at Manly, then I didn't have to be that ball playing edge back row that Glenn Stewart was because I had Kieran Foran and Brett Stewart at the back. Like I just had to run my lines as hard as I could. And if I did that, then it was going to open up. And simplicity.
Boyd Cordner has built a career of running a fucking hectic line and being tough as fuck. You know what I mean? Like he's not some ball playing whatever. Like don't get me wrong, he's still a gun.
Yeah, he's still got the skill and he's capable of it. Like
if he has to. But that's what he does. He plays his role to perfection. And I think a lot of people get a bit, like for example, they might be like, oh, he didn't break this many tackles or this, that. And the next thing, it's like, there's all roles in a team. It's so important to have balance. Like if you've got everyone that's SPW, you've got no structure. Yeah. You're just going to be offloading fucking everywhere. Like it's all got to be roles. So
who's a guy I speak heap about when I ever talk footy about people that just know their role and do it well. I played with Jimmy Maloney in the lower grades at Wenny, and he was coming through, and I seen him progress throughout his career, and I'd watch him do plays that he did at Wenny with us in reserve grade, and he never really changed too much. All he did was support really well. Like if you think of Jimmy, he's such a successful 5'8", won a couple of comps. Every team that he went to seemed to go all the way deep into the finals, but he's not. Do you care? Can you ever remember him just having like a well play?
Nah.
He did everything like he knew his capabilities and he did it to the best of his ability, and he just kept on doing it. Like I'd watch him do plays that we did at Wenny, and it was just nice and sharp and not overplay his hand and just keep chipping away. And he knew like he trusted in the process, and eventually,
it would work.
Yeah.
So, and he's relentless.
Yeah.
He would just go all day. He could miss 10 tackles.
Yeah.
But it's not going to rattle him. He's still going to in the 79th minute throw the ball that he needs to throw to not throw. And you could argue he's one of the best sixers in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Winning wise.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like whereas like if you looked at him, okay, like size, statistically, you're like, oh, okay, maybe he's not as good as another 6. But that 6 that stats-wise goes really well, he might be rocks or diamonds.
Yeah.
Whereas Jimmy's just, there was something about him that he could really
so
lead.
consistent, man.
So consistent. And always like, I think one of his biggest traits was getting a team to believe in him and believe in his direction.
Yeah.
I think that's one of his best traits because like, you know, he's not going to throw this hectic cutout ball or have a mad right foot step or whatever. But it always seemed that every team that he went to believed he was the guy that needed to lead them around.
He was so cocky and arrogant and funny.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he got the nickname Sterlo. I don't know if you know about this. I don't know. Did you ask Finchy about how because Finchy called Jimmy Maloney Sterlo from the Parramatta days.
No,
I don't. Reserve grade.
Tell me the
because
story.
Because Sterlo, Jimmy Maloney come in and was carrying on at camp. He just come from North Sydney. Like they were the reserve grade team. I don't think they'd even had. So they weren't even a feeder club at this point, right? So North Sydney were just on their
and they're at the bottom of the ladder probably too.
Yeah, in reserve grade or whatever. And so Jimmy gets picked up. And he comes into preseason. I think they go away for a camp because I wasn't even a part of it at this stage, but it's legendary within Parramatta. And he's carrying on so much. Finchy ends up going like, "Fuck, who's this? who's this guy? Has he been here for a minute?" And they're like, "No, he just rocked up from North. He's only been here for 3 days." And he goes, "He's fucking carrying on like Peter Sterling." So then, like his nickname throughout like all the Parramatta, and I'm pretty sure he carried it on to a few other teams.
Sterlo.
It was Sterlo. Like that's what everyone called him.
Fucking
Sterlo.
good is that? Like, to have the confidence to come in and do that. What I love about Jimmy is though, like he does it in a way where you're not actually like hating him. You love it. Like, you know what I mean? Some people can pull it off. Some people can't. But yeah, I loved his chat and his banter. He was a real character of the game. I wish he was still in the NRL. Like I think we did lose a little bit when losing him because I think about how many people know Jimmy's a pest and love it.
Yeah.
But okay, so going into the finals, what was is there any stories from the build up or was there any?
I remember Glenn Stewart said just before the game that, you know, sort of try to take everything in because it goes so fast and it's like such a blur. And that's how I remember it. It's weird. I still haven't been able to like properly watch it back. Someone sent me a clip just after maybe the grand final last year, and it was an 8-minute clip of the bad decisions that we copped. Which is a hard watch, eh? Which is like, because you know when people tell you never want that reinforced like in your head, because it's hard enough dealing with losing a grand final when having someone goes like, Scope, you got to watch this 8 minutes. They're obviously Manly fans too, so they're a bit biased, and it's a clip that's made up of bad decisions. It's 8 minutes.
8 minutes. That's
on
stinging you. That's got to sting you.
There's some fucking bad decisions. I'm involved in one of them too, where I tackled Jared Warrior-Hargraves near the line.
Yeah.
I think it might have been 6-6 or whatever. He gets up to play the ball, loses the ball, slaps me in the face, and I get penalised. And they go up 8-6 or whatever. And like, it's obviously for a holding penalty. When you watch it back, like, mate, if you ever get a chance or you see the clip, you watch it back, it's fucking
biggest shit call ever.
Yeah, it's a tough watch, mate, watching that back. And because I never wanted to buy into that. Like, I felt like we were good enough to win it anyway. Like, when I looked around at my team, the team that they had already won it in 11, when we were going into the season, even though we'd lost to the Roosters 3 times before that throughout the season, the confidence that still the older boys had, like, fuck it, well, we're just saving it for the last day sort of thing. I never sort of like worried about it at all. I always, in my head, it's weird. Like, I always just thought we're going to win. And I didn't want to make any excuses of it. But
yeah. You know what's crazy is that so I had Minicello on the podcast, and he said, so at the start of the Roosters season, they all sat down. This was the first year that Trent Robinson took over. Anyway, so at the start of the season, he sat them all down. He said, Trent Robinson said to the Roosters team, "You aren't professional athlete. Like, you're not professional football players." And they were like, "What?" And he's like, "You can't even complete a game. Like, your second halves are terrible." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" They said, and Robinson was like, "We want to be a second half side. Every game last year, you would lose the second half." And then so Robbo was like, "Guys, I want you all to choose one team that you fucking want to beat more than anyone." And they all chose Manly is the team they wanted to beat more than anyone.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it was in the you guys went in the break up? Or in the second half.
We'll win. I think we'll win an 18-8 with like 25 minutes to go.
Second half, they're down. The whole year they trained to be a second half team. And so, like, everything was stacked against you boys. You probably didn't know that. I'm assuming you didn't know that. Yeah. But you were the team that they wanted to beat all year long. And also, it was in the second half they wanted to beat you as well.
Yeah.
I think Minnie said he got them behind the try line, all the boys. He was like, "Boys, we have trained all year for this. Like, just chill. It's all good. We have trained all year for this." And they ended up winning.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes me feel any better. Right?
Okay, sorry, bro. Sorry, I just made that.
It's like they envisioned it, and it's like they almost wanted to be down and come back and
because really they were playing with you the whole time.
Because I'm lining up for the kickoff after 18-8, going,
I got this.
I'm about to win a grand final.
No way.
I'm sizing up my fucking ring finger, going.
So you lose. What's that feeling like? Like this?
Yeah, it was such a weird feeling as well because the boys had been so successful. And there was like we were losing Kitey. That's it. Like Kitey's been such an integral part of that team, but like we still had so much. Our team was so talented. So my what is it? Naivety? Is that a word? Naivety.
Naivety. Or
right? Yeah.
My naive nature.
Yeah. My naive nature of not like just being around those boys and how successful they were. I just thought we were going to be back next year, and it didn't happen that way. We had the same squad, but we got banged up. By the end of the I think we're floating around first equal, whatever. But we run out of legs, and we in the main games we lost Glenn Stewart and Anthony Watmo and those sorts of players. So it's like I talk about with the Penrith boys. Are we still good?
Yeah.
We talk about with the Penrith boys. I think that's a big thing for them because it's hard to make it back there too, especially when you're coming off a loss. Yeah. And the big thing is nothing's guaranteed. So you still just got to put in that work. You still got to have that same mindset that no one believes in you, like that underdog mentality that Manly have always had. Yeah. Because fucking nothing's guaranteed in this game, man.
That's what made Roosters so incredible what they did, like to go back to back, not just make the finals again, to win it again.
Yeah.
So was that your last year at the...
No, we played 2 more years. So we played in 14, and then at the end of 14, that's when a lot of the older boys moved on. Anthony Watmo went to Parramatta. Glenn Stewart went to South. Jason King retired. We lost so much experience in our pack in particular. And I think, the following year, or maybe the year after, that's when it was sort of the end of a generation flowing into that 14-15 season. And like I said, we were successful throughout the year. We did really well, and then we just run out of legs. Like we had a few players that were banged up at the end of 14, and then with the changeover in 15, took us a while to adjust. We come good at the back end of the season, and we went on a bit of a run where I think we won 7 out of 9.
Yeah.
To finish in the season and just miss out on the 8 by a couple of points, but that was my last year, and then ended up going overseas after that.
Okay. So you play for a few years and you go overseas. What's your best memory from overseas?
Overseas, and I've said this before. I think I've done a couple of other podcasts. I don't reckon I would have been able to do the podcast now game if I hadn't gone overseas.
Really?
And what I mean by that is like it got me out of my comfort zone over there. I lived by myself for 3 of the 4 years that I was there, and what that did was, in particular, when I got to Wakey and into Leeds, I made this thing like a little, like a daily routine where I'd try to speak to someone different every day, even if it was just like a couple of minutes at the local cafe, speak to a cafe owner, or I'd go to the gym. I was by myself and be chatting to a guy sitting in the sauna from Romania or something like, you know what I mean? Like I try to throw myself into a few more life skills.
Yep.
Because I was over here, you're in a bit of a bubble. Footy sort of everything. Grew up in Western Sydney. Footy's been my life. But I hadn't really had any experiences outside of footy.
Yep.
So going over there, as much as I enjoyed, I still try to have a crack. Like I tried my best. I trained as hard as I could, or as good as the capabilities were over there compared to over here in the NRL.
Yep.
I'm talking about like grounds, gyms and all that sort of stuff. And then, it's just like, I really got to find myself. I had a bit of head noise as well while I was over there, because you're always thinking like, fuck, I'm getting a bit lonely, getting a bit homesick, want to go home. Fuck, what am I going to do? Am I going to sulk, or just go out and make some of this experience? Did a few little trips, met people overseas, got lifelong friends for a couple of French guys that I've become really close with. Jace Batiri, a guy that played a bit of footy over here, went over really close to him and his family. Tony Gigot, a French guy that I'm really close with now. Same thing at Wakey. Got these lifelong friends now. So those are the relationships, and those experiences are things that I take away from it out of the most, traveling and those life experiences, and being confident enough to do something like I'm doing now. Like I said, I don't think I would be able to do it. Honestly, if I'd stayed in the NRL and just, honestly don't know if I'd be doing podcast or feel comfortable enough to do this stuff.
Because you get peppered as well when you're playing in a role. Do you have any memories where you rocked up and you're like, this is the pits, bro?
Well, that's the first day at Wakey. So I'm really I think I said last time on your podcast, out of all the boys that all the teams that I played with, I got along really well with all the Wakey boys, and by that sense, like we're all pretty similar in a way. Like we're all, you sort of go to Wakey. It's not one of the biggest clubs. You go there, and everyone's on a pretty decent pay packet. There's no one on overs. But basically, there's no one on overs. I was on like 100K at Wakey, and I was the big name player. You know what I mean? But it's like a running joke. It's a bit of a laugh.
Marquee signing.
Yeah, I'm the marquee. So I'm the big dog at Wakey on 100. Day I went in, I flew back because I was at Catalans before that, and I'd had all my stuff at France. So when I flew in, I had a couple of suitcases from Sydney, flew into the Wakey. I said, I'm just going to come meet the boys, see the facilities, and then I'm going to fly to France for the weekend to go grab the rest of my stuff. Yeah. So the day that I rock up, I walk into the gym. The coach is taking me through. This is an old. It's called the barn. It's like an old, beaten down warehouse with just some gym stuff in it and a couple of mats where we do like some scrimmage. Right? It's freezing in there too. So just say if it's like 5 degrees outside, it's for whatever reason it's -5 colder in that barn. It was so cold, and so when I come in, the boys were doing a little bit of training. Some guys were just doing like a little bit prehab and all that stuff, getting ready to train. And the lights go out, like the power cuts out. So I'm already looking at this fucking dump of a place. This
is your first day.
This is my first day, and I'm just coming to see, like, scope it all out.
Scope it out.
Scope season.
Scope scoops.
and so the lights go out, and they go, oh, all right, we'll take it outside, boys. Let's go out in the field. So I don't know if I can say what we called the park. It was like, we called it Dog Shit Park. If you want to edit it out, you can. Whatever.
No, keep that shit. I'm keeping that shit. Dog Shit Park.
That's the nickname that we gave this park. So we go up to Dog Shit Park, and there's ice all over the field, and like the boys are sliding with their boots, and they can't do that either. And I'm just going, fuck. In my head, I've got head noises. Oh, I've just come from the south of France for 2 years. Yeah, it was the Mickey over there. Like in terms of conditions, and, they've got fairly good facilities.
Oh my!
So the boys, there was this running joke because I went to France. A few of the boys thought I'd just fucked off and went back to Australia because I didn't come to the next training session.
Oh, you didn't come back?
No, because I went to go to France to go pick up the rest of my kit, and I was always going to start on Monday. But I rocked up on Thursday, I think, to go see all the facilities, get acclimatised to the weather and all that stuff, and come back on Monday.
Was it called Dog Shit Park because there was dog shit all over it?
Dog shit all park all the time.
So there's always dog shit on the park.
There's dog shit, and it's fucking like. Honestly, I wouldn't let my dog run on that park.
Your dog's too good for the dog shit park.
Yeah, my dog's too good for Dog Shit Park.
So you get tackled in that shit?
Yeah, it was a ranked field.
Wow. Was it okay? What about the first time where you got tackled in that shit, or like one of the where you're like, "This is fucked"?
I used to sulk and complain. I gave that fucking coaching staff so much head noise. Like it's well renowned that I was a fucking pain in the ass for that team. Yeah, because I was in the back end. I was only a couple of years.
When you get older,
I finished there. I been lucky enough to play over here. I got along with the boys fucking unreal. Yeah. So I was a bit of a larrikin. Like when they used to see me sulking, that used to make them laugh. Like they used to think like
he's got head noise, boy. Let's go.
Yeah. Like that was sort of, we call it the cats mentality. That's a running thing. So I loved sometimes I used to play that I was sulking just to play up and just have a bit of a giggle.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a fun like that. It was a cool, really cool fucking group of players.
Any part of you think, I'm not doing this shit, fuck that?
Yeah, heaps. So this is the part, and for any of the boys that are playing, this is why I'm so comfortable with where I am now. Before, at the end of 18, I come back for Christmas, and I'd been over Christmas in 4 years since I've been over there because we got Boxing Day games and go all the way through the season. The season starts at mid-January or something like that over there. So like it's on so early that they don't let people come home for Chrissy. And I come home and I was thinking, no, I did 1 year at the Cats and the boys were in pre-season. I went, fuck it, I'm not going back. But I went, you know what? I love the boys so much and get along with this crew so much. I've got 1 year left on my contract. Just go fucking tough it out. Yeah. And at least I'll know, like, for sure. And then when I went back, got along with the boys, sort of told a couple of the boys, look, fuck, I'm done. And I knew for sure that I was done. Like, once you get to that point, I don't reckon if I'd gone back, I would have had a little bit of regret because, one, I was letting down the boys that I was really close with. And two, fuck, maybe I had some more left in me. But I was sitting in, like, I confirmed it, like, 4 or 5 rounds in, because, like, it got to the way I flipped it at training was it had got that bad with me, like taking the piss and being a bit of a punish to the coaching staff. I was in the 3rd team of like Super League. You know when we do scrimmage?
Yeah.
It was like the first 13 versus the second 13, and the subs would be running on the side. And I was part
NRL Grand Final,
and I was part of that gang.
Wow.
And I'm going. So instead of sulking for that year,
yeah.
I started taking the piss. I'm going, woo, like screaming up the side, going, you can't fucking break me, baby, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because obviously they wanted me to fuck off. They wanted me gone. So they're trying to do everything to just like, fuck, we need him.
Yeah,
him
like
gone.
they're making your life shit because they want to release you.
And I flipped it and was trying to be, in the second year, I was trying to be positive as, and then by the end of it, like we got a mutual agreement. I end up just like going, fuck, I've been sulking a bit too much. They obviously, it's not working out. And then they were able to get, because they were in talks with Kalepi Tanganoa, who was at Manly, and they wanted to get him on board. So it ended up working out mutually for both of us. And then we moved on, and it ended up actually, for whatever reason, I'm really like got along really well with the coaching staff, the physio, and even the owner was a good fella, and it ended up becoming like a bit of a running joke, and we all got along really well. I'd go back because once I'd finished up, I still stayed over there for about 4 or 5 weeks. I went to a few of the games and just got on the piss and watched the boys and had so. It ended up pretty good.
Was your form that bad that you should have been in thirds, or they just were trying to get rid of you?
No. They just wanted to get rid of me,
Okay.
Because I was on overs. I was the marquee player. I was the big dog, and I'm coming off the pine. Like, you can't be, you know what I mean? So, no, I wasn't the big dog. But, to be fair, like, I really wanted to have, like, a big finish off the season a bit better, and I was trying to do everything. But, in the coach's mind, it was too far gone.
Yeah, like, there's already... The damage is done, and like they didn't see a long term future with you, so it's kind of like let's just get it done.
And so they didn't go too well too after I left.
Oh, really?
We're sitting top. What they didn't realise, we're still top 4, top 5.
Okay.
I was the locker room guy, baby.
You need the locker room guy.
I was the glue that's keeping everything
100%.
together.
And so you bounced, and what'd they come?
Yeah, they didn't win it. They won 1 game for the rest of the year.
Oh, well, hey, baby. Hey, they didn't realise what they had when they had it.
But you know what? Kalepi Tanganoa was the shining light. He killed it, honestly. I was going to the games and watching him, and fucking Kalepi was killing it. So they did make the right decision and fucking me off and getting him in.
Hey, it's not all about on the field, bro.
Yeah.
Was he killing in the locker room the way you were killing it?
They love him. They love him. They love him. So I can't say a bad word about Kalepi, which is in deep down, when like that competitive side going, like, shouldn't have got rid of me, but every week Kalepi was their best player. So I'm going, they made the right decision.
Great call. Hey, coach, great call.
Well played.
Okay, so what about living in France? What was that like?
France was cool as second year in particular. First year was like, I got caught up in a little bit more. Like, went over there, beach bars. Like, we're living in an hour and a half from Barcelona. I just wanted to go over there and travel heaps and see all parts of Europe. And second year, I try to focus in a little bit more. Same sort of thing. Like, it's like this life. What the clubs have got to realise over there too. A lot of the boys come, especially if you're single, like for me. So if you've got a family, you go over there. It's a little bit different where you're trying to provide for your family. But for me, I'm going over there for the life experiences as well to play footy. And I probably got caught up a little bit in it both times where I'm like, I want to go see everything. And footy was maybe secondary for a little bit, which was maybe unfair to the clubs. But that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But like I said, in the second year, I really threw myself into the culture. It's the point where my French I've completely lost it all, and my French didn't really get that good in the second year. But what I had a crack, and they appreciated that.
Okay.
And the way that it was always explained to me from a guy that I was really close with, Tony Gigot come over here, right? He was a fullback for Catalans. He's had a pretty good career. He come and played at Cronulla for a season in Reggie's. Didn't make it. And when I become really close with him, we had a few chats. I was like, I got along with him well because he'd been to Australia and he sort of knew what the culture was like a little bit. It's like, the Frenchies aren't really feeling us. Like, not just me, but the Aussie boys, and it would almost feel like there's a bit of a divide. And he goes, bro, like, imagine me going to Cronulla and trying to speak French to them.
Yeah, it's so true.
And expecting them to go, oh yeah, I'll speak French back to you.
Yeah, in your
Australia.
country. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So once I was like, man, that makes so much sense. Like, how haven't
totally.
I ever thought about that before? Like, I'm being selfish. I'm in their country, like buying into their culture.
Yeah.
So I had a crack. My French was awful, but they
Appreciate that you're
they
trying.
appreciated that I was having a crack,
Absolutely.
having a laugh.
Yeah.
Any of the boys that have gone over there and done really well, have had good careers, or got along with them over there, have really bought into the culture. Some really good people. Then I started to realise people that were smiling at me and talking French, I started to realise they weren't saying good things.
Oh, really? Fucking hell.
Yeah. So that's another bonus as well.
Yeah.
Because, they'd come up and, say your name.
And then they take the piss out of you.
Felicitation, smiling and all this sort of
Yeah.
stuff. And then I'd hear someone go, I'm pretty sure that wasn't a good word.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It's kind of like, us going, hey, yeah, how you going, mate? Yeah, sweet.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
going, bro, he's a fucking wanker.
Yeah.
Like, when he can hear it, but he doesn't know what we're saying.
Yeah. So,
okay.
but mate, I loved it. Second year, Luke Burgess, me and him lived together. He come over. His mum Julie teaches French at King's College, I believe.
Okay.
So
that
he
helped
spoke fluent French.
Wow.
So when he came over, he was helping me out heaps. He had family friends over there from his time crossing the borders. So he had family friends, in France that used to go back and forth. So we visited them. We went to like really remote parts of France, like really beautiful places. And whereas I was just looking for somewhere to party. Like the first year, I wanted to go to Ibiza. I wanted to go to Croatia, all those sorts of destinations, Barcelona, and just party. Second year, I got to some really cool places over there and really appreciated the culture and the landscape.
I got to ask you this because I'm sure Simi's asked you. Is there any long lost bonita, French glamour, that you think got away? The white buffalo.
Yeah, there was.
Tell me about your long lost love, please.
So this is. You know what? This is weird. I only messaged her a couple of weeks ago, eh?
Right.
So weird, man.
Bro, long lost love. It's all happening.
So you bring this up. We're having a chat. Like there was this young chick that I got along with a little bit later. So I would have been 30 when I was over there, and she was only a little baby girl. She was like 22 or something.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of an age difference, and she was studying and down over there.
Bro, when you said baby, I was like, yeah, she's only 15. I was like,
Where's this going to go?
what's doing?
No.
22,
She
okay.
just was over there for celebrate. I remember we did something for her 22nd birthday, so that's why that stands out in particular. But like I got along with her really well, and when I first met her, she was studying international studies. It's funny we're talking about this. It's so weird.
I just, it's like the France, the romance thing. I just wanted to know: is there a long lost love? You're single now, correct?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
You're getting after it. So there's always, there's always a long lost love.
Yeah.
Unless you're with them, there's
Yeah.
someone out there.
Little Kaza. So she had so much in front of her too, and I'm like, it got to the point where I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing. I had a feeling I was going to Wakey. We had conversations. She wasn't going to up and change her life. She was. She just finished her uni degree. I messaged her a couple of weeks ago.
What's she studying?
She ended up studying medicine in the end. She was studying international studies, and then she flipped over and went to.
Bro, she could have been a sugar mama.
Oh, bro, she's.
You could have lived in France.
Imagine that.
Off the coin.
Well,
just
mate, me and Luke Burgess, we went to this little remote cabin that she had on top of the mountains and the seascapes, and the family.
So she's from money as well.
I don't know if it's like, I don't know, like big money. Like I never really sort of asked about. I knew she was like fairly comfortable. I never asked her like. Never got to the point where I'm like, oh, what do you? How much you earn? How much your parents
Give us
earn?
your tax returns.
Yeah,
Give
shit like that. But I knew they were fairly comfortable, and they had a nice little spot up there. And fuck, it was a mad weekend, man.
Yeah,
we had a good weekend, and it was weird. Yeah, she'll probably be.
She's the long lost bonita. I think bonita's not even fucking French, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
Latin.
Spanish, I think.
Spanish, all right.
I think Bonita's Spanish. Yeah. I could be wrong.
I think, anyway, whatever. The long lost French, and she was French?
What was it? What do we used to call her? Baby fille?
Baby fille.
Is baby girl?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she's your long lost baby fille.
Yeah, petite baby fille.
Wow.
How
Wow.
about that? That's probably way wrong. Like,
yeah.
Because you know how there's masculine, you got the way you swap them around and all that sort of stuff over there with French.
Okay.
That's a little baby
So
girl.
whenever you hear a French accent, is there a pondering back to that night in the cabin when you stared deeply into her eyes, fireplace? You've got a large Luke Burgess over there doing whatever he's doing. Yeah. So she's the long lost.
Yeah, out of all the people that like I sort of connected with over there. Definitely.
If she was to walk in the door tomorrow and say, "Prez, Skip, you've come a long way, Skip. You've come a long. I want to run away to France together."
Unfortunately, she doesn't have Instagram, so she's not seeing how well I'm going at the moment.
Oh, but that's a positive. She doesn't have Instagram, though.
Yeah, It's going to be even bigger surprise when she gets over here and I'm killing it. I'm running next to Moiser and Normie and people.
Yeah,
like,
she's
skip,
gonna,
baby.
yeah, skip. That's funny, bro. So she's the long lost love. Your French.
I don't know about long lost love, but I had definitely felt a connection to her. Petite baby fille.
If she said tomorrow, I'll pay for your whole podcast setup.
Yeah,
but you got to come live in France, and we can live a romantic life together. Would you do it?
Look, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say no. I'd love to live in France just for the.
Yeah.
I like I said, I really enjoyed it. Even
Yeah.
when I was in. So instead of going for holidays, like I said, when I first got to France, going to Spain and that, when I was in England, I just wanted to go back to France and see a couple of boys there and catch up with the mates. Like it's so untapped. Like there's so much more I could have seen as well.
Yep.
I'd love to live in France, but the economy's not that great over there.
Fuck, we're so
obviously
lucky
the
here.
situation with COVID that's
my
been
God.
hectic. Like I speak to Jace Spiteri, he's a good mate of mine, and I chat to him on FaceTime, once every 2 or 3 months about just trying to see how his well-being's going, and like they're on those lockdowns where they're like 6 to 6 p.m. Anything outside of that, they're not allowed to go out, and so it's pretty crazy.
And DCE obviously a close mate of yours, Cherry Evans.
Yep.
Tell us something about because he's got such an interesting career. I think because obviously he's achieved so much, but he's also for a guy that doesn't do anything wrong, he's also used to be polarizing. I think he's won everyone back by just his work ethic and showing, because the whole Gold Coast situation. Tell us a story about Ches or something that you saw when he was younger that you knew he was destined for this great career that he's had.
One thing I'll say about Ches is I can't wait for him to retire. And I say this a lot too because I feel like he's got a lot to say and he'll say that in his own time.
Okay.
And I think that'll come out. Like he's a very private, reserved family man guy and I love him for that. And me and him, we've had a few good D&M. Ches is one of those guys that he's as a captain and he wasn't even captain for us, but even within the group chat, he's he loves those one-on-ones. He loves finding out how you're going. He cares about you. When you're part of his crew, he proper cares, and he's always, I realised how close I was with Ches when I moved overseas.
Okay.
And you learn a lot about all your mates when you're out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out of the boys in particular that I'm really close with now because of that. Chaz, Jamie Buren, Tommy Simons, those guys at Manly, and Fozzie. I was in more so with Fozzie. I was always checking and seeing how he was going. He was going through a rough time over here and that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with DCE, mate, realising how close and our bond was for him to reaching out and just checking in all the time. Like I said, I feel like
he's got such a story,
and the
best,
best is yet to come for him too. Because he's still feeling so good. The confidence that he has, that he talks about the way, and you can see it now. If you watch stuff about him being interviewed, probably even 3 or 4 years ago to where he is now, how confidently he speaks. Even the little post match at the Origin,
I
little
loved that. It's like folklore, bro.
I wish he'd even gone even harder and swore and fucking told him to get fucked and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. But that's Ches as well. He's still. He can still be a little bit diplomatic as well, which is all right because I know who he is and I know what he's thinking. So even when I see him in that moment, I know what he's thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm more excited to see what post career the type of Ches because we're probably going to even see more of him. The more I'm excited to see everyone else to see more of the Ches that I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as I said, he's got such a storied career. Year a half during the most dominant period in Queensland history. You had that whole drama that probably wasn't even a drama that he'll talk about. You've got the Gold Coast situation that he's kind of talked about but hasn't gone in depth about. You've got going from all the rumours around apparently the old guys didn't like him in Queensland to becoming captain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That journey is incredible, and I look at him I just want to know. I want to hear this incredible story, because
and you're going to find out too.
There,
in the right time, I'm sure he'll come out and.
Bro, he captained the worst Queensland team in Origin history.
Yeah.
To a win. He was the guy that led this young team.
Hey, brought him back in game. Him and Prez brought him back in game one.
Yep.
Those two guys in particular, the way they attacked that first 20 minutes of that game stood out for me. Even though they weren't getting the results, and New South Wales was somehow up at that point. I remember watching that start of that. We were doing the Footy Companion.
Yeah.
And I think we were both talking about how energetic and how controlled Ches and they're getting their hands on the ball anytime they could. And I think they set the tone for the comeback.
Yeah.
Those boys, even though results weren't going their way, they knew that their two best players and their leaders were going hard at that game. And obviously the rest is history. You know, they both
incredible.
play really well. I think the growth in Cherry's game that I appreciate even more, know him a little bit more, is he's always, even though as good as he's always been happy to be second fiddle. But like, let someone control. Like, now he's fully control of the Manly team. But like, if he gets the opportunity to have a Munster in his team, hey,
let him go.
Munster, fucking you go. It's like, and you'll see the best out of him having Fozzie back again this year, where he knows that like he doesn't have to be the guy. He plays his best footy when he can just like rely on that guy to go, hey, you go fucking win this game. I'll just control everything and like fucking you can kick to the corners or come up with the big play or score or come up with the right pass.
Is there anything you've seen with him that's like, because he's a consummate professional. You know, there's never a year where you see Cherry Evans come into a year where like, oh, he looks a bit unfit here, or he's not having a crack here. Do you have any stories of his ethic, his training ethic, or? Well,
he wins everything. Like he wins everything. His attention to detail. He's a really good family man. He does everything right. Like, and can party with the boys.
Yeah,
and people don't realise that too. When people see that, when people think of Chaz, and my mates, some of my best mates meet Chaz and they go, "Fuck, Chaz is a legend." Like, I didn't know like he come out and have going on idle with the boys, and you know, I joke around and having Larrys and all that sort of shit. Chaz can hang with the best of them too. Like,
you know who shocked me the most when I heard about it, and it was from a very good source. They reckon Cameron Smith.
I heard he's gun too.
He's a gun. They reckon he's one of the, but he locks it down.
How much better is it when you think about their GOAT status or how good they are as footy players? And they just they can rip in and have a good time and be one of the boys too.
Because like, you see them and you're like that. You're like, oh, surely they're not like, you know. But yeah, like I was told, but not one of the goats goes out in public, more just like gets the boys around him.
When they're in
and on the beers and that.
He loves all that stuff, and he understands that that's how I believe that how successful Manly were in the past. Whenever I'm like, you know, the older boys and bought in and they did stuff like that. So he tries. I see that stuff all the time within the playing group. It's not big rah-rah stuff where you'll see them out and about and in town, but they get together and they have a good time together.
Yeah, when you go out in town, you always split up.
Yeah.
He's chasing tail and this doing that.
Yeah, single boys want to go chase the tail. Yeah. Other boys might lock down in a certain area.
Yeah, man. It's I'm just so interested to hear Cherry's story because there's so much that we just don't know, and I want to know. Like, I want to know. Like, for example, one thing that I just have so much respect for with Cherry is that, like, the Gold Coast thing happened the way it happened, whatever. He never came out and was like victim. Like, he never spoke about it. He just said, I'm going to play good footy, do my job, and I'm going to earn whatever. If you think he lost respect or whatever, like, I'm not saying that he did or he didn't, but what I'm saying is, you know how like some people would have come out and try to get on the front foot and like, you know, defend themselves constantly and talk about it. It seemed to me he was more just like, I'm going to play good footy, and that's all that matters is playing good footy and being just a fucking good person for the next X amount of years. And that's why I feel like he really has, you know, earned every bit that he's got now. Yeah. Like to think that, you know, 6 years ago, if you said Cherry Evans is captain, that people were like, oh, no way, like the back of the Gold Coast deal and this, that. He fucking crawled his way all the way back to captaining the worst side in. You know what I mean? I think that's an incredible journey.
Well, that's what and like you said, you touched on it then, like he's always let his footy do the talking. And if anything, when he's had those, you know, little things, little speed bumps in his that have happened in, like, you know, off footy or whatever, whether it's Titan stuff or like you talked about with the older boys, he's always just gone hard at footy. And that's how you shut him up. Like, that's how any athlete can do any stuff like that. It's a little bit different now. I think we've got more of a platform where you can have your say, and if you say it in the right way, sometimes it shuts people up in that sense. Like, you look at the situation that we just had with Chico and Normie, right?
Yeah.
Like, in the past, boys might have been a little bit standoffish to get on the front foot, but if you're in the right, and I know in majority of those, I know for a fact in all those occasions where Ches has been painted out to be something that's fucking bullshit, and he'll get his say, and he'll do it on his own terms, like I said. And I've always had his back and all that stuff. But yeah, you can get on the front foot now. Boys can do that, and if you do, you can do it in the right way, and it can fucking kill it straight away.
Changes a lot of the narrative as well. And like even with the Titans thing, like I was always of the mind, like, boys, like you get like. You've got this crazy decision, like, the Titans, whatever. But at the end of the day, sometimes you've got to make tough calls for your family. Like, sometimes you've just got to do that. And you've got to ask yourself, what would you do in that situation? How many people would actually go, exactly. Nah, I'm going to take the 5-year deal or whatever? Not very many fucking people would. So And the Queensland one, like I think that was more just murmurings from like the media and that.
Yeah.
So as I said, I just love his story arc. This incredible freak comes into the NRL, wins the premiership, has his ups and downs, grinds his way all the way back to captaining his state and winning one of the most famous Origin. Like that's incredible. I want to see a movie of it. I would love to see a high quality movie of some players live.
Yeah, like I said a couple of years ago, I don't think he could have won that series based on where his sort of head was at and his confidence was at. But like going into it and even speaking, like that's why I sort of got a feeling that something was brewing as well. Not only on top of we joke about the Munster stuff and all that, but man, you could hear this. I can tell the difference when I know when I have a chat to him, I know if he's feeling good or whatever.
Yep.
And I had a feeling going into that he was going to be in for a big series.
You know who hasn't got enough raps for that win? Is Wayne Bennett.
Yeah,
bro, he just comes out of nowhere, takes this young side. Like a lot of those players were struggling to make their first grade side in the NRL. Like that's just facts. Like that's not disrespectful. It's coming from a fucking has-been nobody. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing nothing.
Well, we reminded a lot of ourselves, like, we had to fight for your positions. There were a couple of players that were in there, like, Brenko Lee and Edric Lee, who had fucking mad game threes, who were unreal. But, like, Brenko had just sort of cemented his spot this year.
Corey Allen only just cemented his spot.
Corey Allen, guys like that. So, props to Wayne Bennett. And those boys for stepping up in the moment as well, though.
Oh, absolutely. Mate, every single player. You know what else was a masterstroke by Wayne? He got crucified for it before, and no one's talking about it. When there was like all this negative press about Wayne saying no to a documentary?
Yeah.
He had a fucking plan, and he knew if there was cameras in there, changes the whole vibe. You're not there for a job, you're fucking on it for the TV and that. Huge, smart decision by Wayne. What are you going to remember more, the documentary or the fucking iconic series win?
Exactly. Now they can probably roll it next year. Now they've got the job
just roll it in. Who cares if we lose? Fuck, we got the job done. Now, whatever. What are your thoughts on obviously Normie getting the $20,000 fine and the 1 match suspension? Is that something that's frustrating? Or?
Yeah, very frustrating. Just as a mate, knowing that I know exactly what happened on that night, and we had a chat about it on 10 the Can on the show, one of the shows that we do. That's just our house podcast. We were together that Arvo. I'd left the boys about 45 minutes ago, hadn't been drinking. We'd had a burger sitting on the hill at South Cronulla. The boys end up, Chico has been seeing this girl. She had a friend. So me and Simmy were like, 4 into 2 doesn't make. Something's got to give here. So me and Simmy were like, all right, we're going to cruise. So we went home. Like we had dinner, like sitting on the hill, just fucking calling it a night. Some guy comes and racially abuses Chico, and I don't know. I don't even know if I can say this, but fuck it. Like the NRL said, he had a chance to not get involved because they're attacking Chico, racially abused Chico, and then it started, and then he's just supposed to sit there and let Chico get fucking 4 hours. Well, originally it was 2, but if Normie does it like 2-on-1, even 2-on-1's like there's I think from what you even just watching the video myself and understanding, then the other 2 come in on Normie because like he's trying to fucking stop Chico from getting dropped or getting bashed
by 2 blokes.
And I think Alex Glenn come out and said it perfectly. What's it going to take? Does Normie have to sit there, get knocked out, potentially go to hospital for the NRL to go, all right, well, now he's allowed to fight back?
Yeah. Oh,
in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I know for a fact those boys too weren't looking for trouble. They're hanging out with chicks and they're doing
put it this way, Normie's not an aggressive guy.
If you know Normie, we say this within our group because there's, when you muck around in the group and that, Normie's a lover, not a fighter.
Absolutely, but he actually goes all right.
And he owns it as well.
Yeah.
Like he'll even joke about like we've had like we've been away with the boys and boys will be boys. We'll be in Bali and there'll be like you get over each other after about 10 days of being in the Bali villa. Yeah. And sometimes friction's growing. Like Normie's always that guy that's always calming it down, and he's always like he'd rather go try to hook up with a chick at La Favela or something like that's his vibe. That's how he rolls. So
the NRL accepted their version of events, in the sense of like they believed what happened the way
they believed that Normie could have not got involved in the incident.
So they basically expected Normie to sit there whilst 2 guys try to fight Chico.
Yeah,
I mean that's just absolute insanity. Because like, okay, let's say we want to keep that standard.
Yeah.
We find Normie $20,000, misses a game. What is the NRL doing to the people that put Normie in danger? What are they doing to the guys that fought Normie? Are they suing them? Are they pressing charges? Are they doing anything to punish those people as well? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if you want to have that standard of like everyone should have walked away, then you should also protect your employee, which is Normie.
Yep.
You should also say, okay, yes, you did the wrong thing, but at the same time, you were attacked, and you're part of our business company, in extension. So we're going to protect you by going after these guys and getting them in trouble and punishing them for hurting you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Normie's a part of the NRL, so they've got to be protecting Normie, like protecting his welfare. He can't. So just say if he didn't throw him as well, and like, because one of the guys pretended he had a knife, but apparently like that's what he said. He's like the boy's never seen a knife or whatever, but he was pretending like he was going like this, going like, so fucking Normie's shitting himself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you it's in a little alleyway, you find yourself backed up. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you just like, please don't hit me.
One, because and this is a natural reaction. You might just cower and fucking hit the deck. Because I know people that would probably do that in that situation. Please don't, like that sort of vibe. Like maybe that's the only other option he could have done. But like
then
once they start throwing at Chico and clip Chico twice, like from what point? I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I should be speaking out of turn about it because I wasn't there, but I know the full extent of the story. I know they're going to fight it. I know the Dragons are behind him. I know he's passionate about, clearing his name and he wants to play footy. And, the fine, he's on good money and that's still a lot of money. But this is a big season for Normie too.
Absolutely. Massive
Normie
season.
wants to fucking be there round one. I've seen him at home living with him, how focused he is. Like we had a joke on Ten and the Ken the other night about how I want a bit of money on the horses and I come home and I'm rah-rah and I'm going, fucking everything's on me, boys. We're going to have a night out. And Normie stayed home. Like Normie's, this is like, and nothing to do with the incident. Like he's got this different focus about him this year. So that's the most disappointing thing. He wants to be playing with his team. He knows that, they're in for it's going to be a tough season for the Dragons, man. Like they need all their best players out there and he wants to be playing round one. So I hope, no matter what happens, I just want to see him ready for round one. And I hope the NRL, they convince the NRL that
it's just,
he had no other choice.
I mean, it's kind of like, okay, technically he could have just stood there.
Yeah.
But okay, so what if because he doesn't jump in, Chico's in hospital?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he jumps in, it breaks up eventually because he jumps in. Whereas like, so what's he supposed to do? Literally watch Chico get his head stomped in.
Yeah.
Like what's the option there?
Yeah.
No one's ever going to do that.
And another fact, there was two girls there. It was dangerous for the two girls, like to get it, like just to shut it off, because the girls were trying to get involved as well, and like they're trying to break it up, and who knows if they start hitting the girls and all that. It was just that ugly situation.
Just a gross
situation.
situation.
But it's what the boys were put in, and they try to do their best to get themselves out of an ugly situation, and that's what it come to. So
sometimes, like outside of it kicking, like outside of literally sprinting away, which is maybe that's what they expect. You literally just run away. Yeah. It's just not in reality, in my opinion. I think like you could have said maybe a fine because of just that whole image of it, but to miss footy. And also,
but like in that situation where because Chico was sort of cornered in it as well, and from speaking to the boys, where he was like so caught off guard, and then they started throwing so quickly. The only person that could have really run away is Normie, like, and just leave Chico there.
Oh, no way!
You know what I mean? Like,
no, I don't agree with it.
I know actually, I don't want to speak on that. For me, if that's me, I know the NRL are going to give me 2 games and fine me 20 grand, I'm fucking still sticking there and fighting 100%. Next to Chico rather than running and looking after myself and making sure I'm right to go.
I always say this.
Every day of the week, and everyone would.
Absolutely.
If you're not a good mate.
Okay, the people that handed these fines down, if their son was Chico, what would they ask Normie to do?
Yeah, exactly.
So why is he getting fined?
Fuck, that's... You nailed that. Make sure you clip that up, eh? That's a good one. I haven't thought about that.
If their son was in a fight, in a bad situation,
was sticking up for their kid.
We're predators. Yeah. These guys are they're looking for it. They're saying racial shit. They're looking for it. There's 2-on-1, and there's another 2 of them, and there's women involved.
Yeah.
Which guy you want? You want Normie, the guy that runs away while 2 women are there as well?
Yeah.
Or you want the guy... What if your daughter was there? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Put your children in that situation. You would want them to stick up for Chico, especially when it's pretty clear that those 4 guys are attacking Chico. Yeah. Like you can see in the footage.
Yeah.
I think. Look, I understand where the NRL comes from with these kind of stuff. I do. I get it. You've got a brand to protect. You've got sponsors. I fucking totally get it.
Yeah.
But at what point do we say that this is a part of our company and our business?
Yeah.
And what are we doing to protect him, and why aren't we going on his side and saying, you know what, he was the victim in this. Yeah. Yes, he threw punches because his mate's getting fucking jumped by 2 people. So anyway,
I'm agreeing with like you said, and Lexi said it as well. Alex Glenn said it as well. mate, if any of the boys go looking for it, because every now and again you get a little bit of fucking, someone has a little crack, and we've all had that in our past. If you go looking, I don't condone violence. Like, I'm not
100%.
like, you know.
You should be absolute. Like, if you go looking for a fight, miss fucking 5-6 games.
Yeah.
I don't care.
If the boys had done that, I wouldn't have, like, I'm not going to stick up for them. Like, if, you know.
Like, bro, you're a dumb cunt. What do you do that for?
You're an idiot.
Yeah. No, it sucks, bro. I just think that all it does is perpetuate this narrative that if you are in public and you want to have a crack at an NRL player, fucking do it. They can't do anything. I mean, even like you look at little cases like Munster's sitting there trying to have a fucking slap, and you got that guy filming him after he's just lost a prelim final in 2019, going, "What happened, Munster? Why'd you lose?" Like, the NRL should be sending strong messages of like, that's how we employ that guy. He's a part of our family. You cannot treat these guys like that. You can't. And again, I'm not saying we're victims like at all. Like, I'm not sitting saying, there's plenty of footy players that have done plenty of dumb shit and should get suspended and they should get fined. And it pisses me off because it makes me look bad. It makes you look bad. It looks all footy bad. But there also are some cases where we need to defend our employees, our employers, all that kind of stuff, and our community as well. But anyway, it is what it is. Latrell signing, thoughts?
Yeah, big time. We talked about it right at the top that we both thought Souths were in for this is an even better sign. Like you talked about, you know, obviously Wayne's got them all buying into what they're capable of.
Absolutely.
Latrell obviously believes in it. You could tell straight away, like, Latrell just looked right.
Yeah, he looked happy. He
looked happy at South from day one, despite, like, there was, you know, a bit of criticism about, you know, whether he's going to be able to transition and whatnot. I think he put that, like I said, he's put that to bed, and he must feel really comfortable there. They look like they're a really close-knit type group, and for me, that matters heaps. And like I said, that, you know, we'll do our prediction show. By the way I'm talking, you can obviously tell that I'm going to have them pretty high. So
and Cam McInnes I love the Latrell signing, and I do know for a fact that he had quite massive offers, bigger offers from other clubs. Latrell did, but he loves the Rabbitohs,
didn't he? Even before,
had bigger offers as well from the Tigers and that. McInnes to Sharks.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, eh?
I think it's all about money and cap space.
Yeah, it must be. Like,
I think Mako is probably getting paid $250 from Dragons, whilst Broncos tips that stuff in.
Yep.
And I think Anthony Griffin has gone, we can have this $750 great hooker,
yep,
or we can get don't get me wrong, McCulloch's still a really good hooker. He's not as good as McInnes right now. Maybe in his peak he was.
Yep.
We can pay $250 for a solid good hooker.
Yeah.
And free heaps of cap space up, or we can pay $750 probably for a guy like McInnes. To be the hooker, you know.
Well, that's what happens. Sometimes players just like they play so well in a couple 2-season period that they, if the cap isn't managed properly, you can find yourself on the outer just because of how well you've gone.
Absolutely,
and I think that's exactly what you're saying about Cam. He's part of that blue squad. Mm-hmm. He didn't end up playing, did he? But he was a part of the squad.
But he's there or thereabouts.
Yeah, it's interesting to say that. The interesting part is John Morris saying that he's going to come play lock for him.
Well, I think he's going to play like that third half that I was talking about. So, that kind of third half. You looked, Harry Grant came on when Nathan Friend stayed on the field. Michael Morgan played it for quite a few years for Queensland.
Yeah.
But with the speed of the game picking up, I think Connor Watson's going to play 13 most likely. Yep. So I think you're going to find locks are basically hookers halves. They're a little bit bigger, playing like a Freddie Fittler or a Brad, a Nasser or whatever. Yep. What was I going to say? I forgot now. Again, lost me train of thought.
McInnes, Origin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree with you because I seen what you said about the extra half because I was talking about how when Penrith started to make a comeback, they flipped Tyrone May into the middle, brought Naden onto the centres, and they had that third half working for them as well. Cody Walker in the second Origin game when he come on changed the dynamic of that game, having three halves, almost having a half and someone out the back on both sides. Like, you've got those double options with the fullback out the back of one half and then Cody Walker out the back of the other half. Yeah,
absolutely. I just think of the speed of the game.
Yeah.
It's not so much like crash and bash anymore. It's just like real quick.
Yeah.
I think it should be interesting. I understand why Dragons fans are upset losing McInnes. I totally get it. I think it's more of a like, okay, what would you rather? A $750K hooker McInnes or a $250K McCulloch? Yeah. It's a tough call.
And that decision, like I said, depends on what your cap is.
Yeah.
So if you've got the luxury of having that space there and you start thinking, all right, can can I make decisions in other parts of the team? But like you said, obviously, you know, he comes in, they've got a couple of halves that are on big money. One of them is me mate. So that all comes into it, mate.
But we'll save the deep footy chat for this Friday. But thanks for coming on, brother, and obviously you'll be on way more during the year.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Boom.